I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is all the mods tin. So today, I promise you, you are not going to want to miss this episode, because today what we're going to be doing is accelerating our mystical agriculture crops to beyond the reasonable limits. Now, the reason I want to do this is to simply allow me to produce a ton of resources that will hopefully get us up to at least a 6 times compressed block of different materials, right? And that will allow us to make an infinite cell of those items. So all we have to do is get to 6 times, and then we have an unlimited amount. Now, making 18 5 times actually costs more than just making one 6 times and then turning that unlimited. So that is why I do want to go this route. But to be able to obtain this much in stone takes a bit of time. And I want to make things as fast as possible because I'm not on a server and AFKing this. So if I go to end stone here and I take a look at how much it actually take, for example, to make a 6 times, we can just look, just one of them. I am missing quite a bit of essence. Now I have a lot of essence, but I'm missing like 46,000. And so to be able to generate this really, really quickly, well, that's where we're going to introduce a new mod, well, that we've already technically done, and that is industrial foregoing. So I have done a little bit of testing to see how fast this can actually get, and it definitely tipped the scale and the radar on in my opinion, on what I would deem to be definitely worth doing. And since I have a few empty spaces here, I might as well fill them with something, and I think these mystical crops would be the best thing to use in these places. Now, some things that we're going to need to get started is simply a mob setting directly on top of this thing right here, a sewer block. So you just need a mob on here, put some upgrades in here. It doesn't harm the precious little piggy right here, so you don't have to worry about it killing anything. It's just going to generate something called sewage. And then that sewage, I can just simply send into a sewage composter. This is going to produce fertilizer. Now, we are going to need this fertilizer just simply for a crafting recipe. And that is going to get used to make a hydroponic bed. Now, you may have seen this used before. I don't typically use it because it tends to be kind of expensive because it requires ether gas in order to function quickly. But because of these add-ons that are in here, and because we have industrial foregoing souls, this hydroponic bed, honestly, yeah, just takes the cake when it comes to how quickly it can make essence. The problem is its scalability. It's not super easy to scale, so you're really only going to want to use this for a few things, right? Otherwise, you're going to just run into just needing a ton of space to place all of these machines. And I'm just going to say this, with each of these hydroponic beds, you're probably going to need roughly a 3x3x3 cube worth of space for each setup. And something else that is 100% going to be needed is, well, a wither fart collector. Yes, the classic ether gas generator, and this just requires a purple lens and a fluid laser above a wither that is stasised, and make sure, well, you're pulling the ingredients in fast enough. So this is technically sending that ether gas in, and it generates quite a bit of it. Now, thankfully, these hydroponic beds don't actually consume a whole lot of the ether gas. They basically will consume almost like 1 millibucket per operation, or somewhere around there from what I tested. But now what it does consume a lot of is water. Thankfully, though, we have an unlimited water source in our applied energetics system. Now, when I was setting up the Just Dire Things setup, I did go ahead and set up all of the AE all the way around when I built all of these chambers. So I don't have to go in and add any more AE, but I do have the AE connector right here, ready to go for any other project. And thankfully, this is kind of going to be the layout for this project. Each one of these rooms are going to house 3 of the hydroponic beds, and the main reason is so that way we can use these industrial foregoing soul surges on them, and we are going to need room, much like we used for our Nether Star setup. So I'm going to have space just like this, so the way I can have at least 3 of them surging on all sides like so. Now, we might actually be able to get away with 4 of these soul surges on here. And this is actually going to be due to our import-export bus. This is something new from Advanced AE, and honestly, I'm slowly falling in love with this thing. Now, we can send this power, we can send this water, and the ether gas all from this one central import bus. Now, you may be wondering, well, how do you actually send power here? Because there's not an induction card set up. Believe it or not, you can actually send power from your applied energetics system. So if you are clicked here inside of the center of your system, you don't have your search selected, you can hit A over your FE setup. Now what it's going to do is it's going to put a wrapped generic stack over here, a little bit of a bug thing, a little item over here, but you should be able to search this, but for some reason you cannot. And we have it over here, which is that item. And what we can do with that item is actually drag it into here. And now it'll actually export power into our machine. We do want to make sure all of these are set to scheduling because we want this to also send water. And we also want it to send ether gas. So there is the ether gas. And all of those items we can have listed over here just to easy drag and drop into all of our other hydroponic beds. Now also don't forget, these are gonna need acceleration cards to be able to keep up primarily with the water. Everything else should be more than fine. It's just that water is going to be heavily used in this operation. So I'm gonna slap an interface right here, and then this is going to be set for our soul surging. And then I'll just run the cable up through the back and make sure we get soul surges on all of these machines, and they should easily connect with each other. And with all of these connected, I do want to talk about a potential problem, and that is power. Now, AE does have a ramp up mechanic where it is going to take some time to ramp up. So I think what I've done is I'm going to go ahead and substitute some energy. And so I'm using an energy transmitter here that is assigned to these blocks and these block space to wirelessly charge the machine, giving it a little bit of extra power, and that is being sent via a gate, which I'm going to set to the 3rd channel here just to make sure it's not on our main. And this should be ready to work, and I think this is going to truly show off the power of the import-export bus. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. Now, what's going to happen, to kind of think about this logically, it's going to send the fluid, it's going to send the energy, and it's going to send the ether gas, and it's going to rotate through those. It's going to take time to ramp up. And if we go ahead and place our in seed, we're going to see this already in work and being accelerated. You can see the items going in, and the items get automatically pulled out. Now, this isn't fast. This is actually kind of mediocre. I mean, it's fast enough, but what is going to make this truly fast and how quickly it's going to be able to generate all of this essence is by how fast we can actually accelerate this with the more industrial foregoing add-ons. 400%. And when we put these in, we're going to really start to see this kick off. And notice the power, by the way. We have a little bit of a power buffer issue happening here, even with this granting it a little bit of power. And that's because AE is going to take time to ramp up. This is going to take a while, and we'll eventually start to see this bounce and flux really, really fast. But look how fast that is harvesting, and look how fast it's actually generating essence here. This is way faster than what we're currently generating at the moment. And we can make multiple of these. We can technically set all of these up and place whatever seed we want on here, because this is all at the end of the day going into our storage network, which has a higher priority. And I tell you what, that looks ridiculous watching this work over here. And this is accelerating on all 4 sides. I mean, that is perfect. So now there are a lot of seeds that I really want running on this. Definitely at the moment, I am going to want these primary, which is going to be dirt. Like, dirt is something we are missing, so I'm going to go ahead and throw some dirt on here, just like that. And this one's going to ramp up and start to go really fast, just like all of the others once I set that up. That is so quick. It is just honestly uncanny valley watching this. Now, interestingly enough, it seems like this has it is definitely causing a little bit of a bottleneck on the amount of power. So instead, I've decided to go the modular router power route. And if you fill this up with energy upgrades, this will allow it to send as much as it can, some speed upgrades, and use an energy distributor. This right here will allow us to wirelessly send power. And it does seem like it is going significantly faster now that it is receiving the appropriate amount of power. But my goodness, that is a jumpy mess over here. And you know what? The cool part about the modular router is I can actually disguise it to look like it's just a part of the wall. Which kind of works out in the end here with a little bit of a boop. There we go. And now is as if it never existed. So now it's time for me to, well, recreate this entire setup multiple times, essentially on this area and also this area, and might as well do this area as well. Now, here's another quick tip. Just in case you're setting up multiple things that have exporters and you're going to be doing multiple of them, you can use a memory card and you can shift right click to copy the settings of the particular device that you're wanting to paste to. And yeah, just simply paste it. And I'll kind of show you here as I go down. If I place a fresh import export bus, just go ahead and look at this. If we look into this, I can place this in and it will not only paste this, but if I have the cards in my inventory, the acceleration cards, it'll actually go ahead and put those cards in there as well. Like, this is an incredibly powerful tool, just in case you didn't know about it. So now I've also gone even farther, and I'm soul surging the actual modular router down here now, but I did get them all set up. So you can see how quickly this is running, and now the power is actually saying sustained, which is perfect, thanks to that one soul surge being on the modular router. And I mean, this is just producing at an absurd rate. I mean, incredibly fast, and it uses, like I said, very little ether gas. And in just the time it took for me to set this stuff up, I mean, I can already now make the 6-time instone. It's like literally finishing right now. Look how quick that is. This is doing so much compression work. And it's just happening that fast. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. So yes, this is generating so fast now. Now, another one that I kind of want to make is the infinite sand. Like, I feel like having infinite sand, infinite dirt, all of those things are going to make the crafting of the Altamont Star so much easier. So we can do 1 times 6 compressed. Look how much it has to craft. This is ridiculous. And it's all going to do it. Man, this is what's really showing off the speed of that quantum crafter, because this stuff right here would take ages without the use of, well, things like Mega, for example, because there is a bulk Mega storage. That's how quick that crafted. Like, it's, you blink, you missed it. That's so many things. Now, temporarily, I did go ahead and set up some soul surging over here to kind of speed up a little bit of the process here. Now, I am completely out of source, and I am going to have to source my source in a different setup, but we'll work on that a little bit later. But what I'm going to be doing is essentially crafting up a few blocks worth of this material here, just so that way we can make these cells, because each one is going to require these alloys. Now, my goal is, I think, next episode to definitely automate those alloys, and we are going to have to really improve our source setup. Everything else is very easy to automate. It's only the source that becomes a problem. And that's because we're going to need quite a bit of the aluminium alloy blocks, especially for that star recipe. You can see it surrounds the entire thing. And this, well, is going to require blocks of these essences to make. And so that means 9 of each of the essences from ours in order to do this. So yeah, lots and lots of source. I think I'm going to probably end up integrating that with our applied energistics system, and finally take and make use of the applied energistics integration with the Rs mod. Now, for this, I'm also going to need a lot of source, and I guess I can go ahead and get that started. And I want to use the tower up here, I think, to generate source. Now, for this, I am going to need some lava in a tank. Thankfully, we have unlimited amounts of lava. So with an acceleration card, we can guarantee that we get this in there fast. And I have myself a tank here. Now, what I want to do is automate the volcanic source link. This is super, super easy to do by simply using a pedestal from ours and a modular router. So that setup kind of looks like this. So we have the source link here. We have ourselves an arcane pedestal or platform that is directly underneath the router. And I have it being sent some lava. I want the modular router to essentially click up on the top, and I want it to click specifically a bucket. And I have it set to whitelist here. Sometimes you have to go back into this card because it is borked, but there we go. That should easily just go, hey, I'm going to always try to right click an empty bucket specifically if it's in that buffer, and it's in this buffer slot right here. So that should work just fine. I don't think we need the security upgrade. I just have it in there from the last time I tried to use this thing. But now what we want to do is we want to send into this platform, which is kind of like a chest. So we're going to send whitelist to the down, and I'm going to make sure that's all saved. And we're specifically only going to send a lava bucket, or try to send a lava bucket down. So now that that is in there, that should be fine. And then we want to pull the empty bucket after it's been consumed. So I want to pull this from the down, and I'm going to whitelist. And let's say, let's only pull once the bucket is empty. And so there it is, the bucket's empty in whitelist mode. And that right there should easily automate the filling and sending of a lava bucket just like that. It is very, very straightforward. Of course, you can always pause and rewind if you missed a step, but this is essential to know if you want to make and generate a ton of source, because this is one of the fastest ways to do it. But now, oddly enough, what we're going to see is we are going to need 90,000 buckets of it. 90,000 buckets of source in order to technically do the block form of this. And that basically, it breaks down into, we're going to need 9 jars completely filled in order to do this. So we can just place the jars down underneath here, and this will slowly but surely fill them all up. shouldn't take too long and should evenly disperse the source, as you can see right here, filling up each jar. Now, just for ease of automation here, I have my enchanting apparatus inside. I just have a few hoppers, and I have all of my items sorted that we're going to need for each of these. This will sort of be how we kind of automate this in the future. But yes, this right here is exactly what I need. All 8 of them are going to be filled up with all of the blocks needed, including the unobtainium and also over here, the allthemodium. And then finally, to kind of activate it, we just simply right click in the middle, and it says not enough source nearby. I think probably because these jars need to be lowered. I think I can lower these jars a few more. I think I'm going to try placing them like one directly above, and that should leave a block gap there. That should be plenty of space. I don't see why this would fuss, but maybe it does have to be like directly. I'm assuming it's like 3 blocks away. All right, let's try it now. Still not enough source nearby. Interesting. So I guess if this doesn't work, oh man, I think we're probably going to have to change the source jar we use. And there is a source jar that apparently we can use that is a higher tier source jar that was added from all the mods. And that source jar is the unobtainium source jar. So I'm wondering if this one's going to work. We definitely have enough unobtainium, and we need a regular source jar to activate this. And how much does it actually require? I didn't even look at that. So yeah, it just requires a regular full jar of source in order to craft it. So not too bad. Let's grab a source jar here. And let's make a fresh one. I hope that this actively works. I'm going to place this down right here, and there we go. And I'm assuming this holds like a bit more, hopefully enough to keep up with what the requirements are for the recipe there. All right, so with our newfound unobtainium source jar here, let's place it down, and this is going to start filling. And yeah, I would assume that this just holds like 1,000, or sorry, not 1,000. It holds 10 jars worth, or maybe 9 jars worth. I mean, but honestly, judging by how it fills this up, I would assume that this actually holds 10 jars worth, because each time this fills essentially was filling 1 entire jar. So I'm think I'm gonna go with 10. Either way, I'm really hoping this one source jar actually works. So without further ado, let's try it. And it does. Okay. Yeah. And it has to be, right? This was completely filled. This takes 9 and it left 10%. So that would mean that it technically holds like 10 jars worth. There we go. So that really simplifies the setup here, right? So that way we only have 1 jar. So what have we learned today? Well, you're going to need this upgraded source jar in order to actually complete that recipe from what it looks like. Now, of course, I think I can speed this up by just simply adding more source links in here. This will all pull, by the way, from this pedestal that's nearby. And I think I can fill this whole area up. And this will work much, much faster at making sure it sends and fills this up. So let's go ahead and try this out. So we'll see those have built up. It's pulling out, and look how much faster that is now sending to this. Okay, I mean, another way we can do that is possibly by adding more platforms and using a distribution module too. That could also work. Now to change this up and actually make this a bit faster, just like this, yeah, we can just use a distributor module. So we have one that is going to be sending out of the router that is whitelisted to only doing lava buckets. And we have one that pulls into the router, and we're essentially replacing what we have here, kind of doing it wirelessly. We just want to make sure that all of these are technically selected like this. Now there is a limitation to only being 8 of them. So you know what? I'm going to just kind of try only doing 8 of them. I find that might be more than enough. And we want to make sure that we have at least 8 buckets. Oh boy. Sorry, let's try this again. Place the buckets on the pedestals first before letting the modular router decide to just click everything into oblivion. Okay, and hope, fingers crossed, that this actually works, because it should only pull in the bucket as needed. Yes, there we go. Okay, so that is significantly faster, as you can see, and is working as it should. Holy smokes, that is now super fast at generating what is needed. Oh man, look at that. Instantly filled, basically. So perfect. I think maybe setting up another one of these essentially to have constantly filling into an applied logistics system is probably gonna be the way to go, which we'll definitely work on next episode when we start automating all these other processes, with this process honestly being one of the most complicated ones. But until then, I now have basically everything needed now. Yeah, this is This is perfect. So we can now start making our infinity cells. So I think now if all is said and done, we are ready. I think we are 100% ready to craft all of these infinity cells. And I mean all of them. Now the netherrack, for example, we have all of the netherrack I think needed. I have so many of the 6 times compressed. Yeah, I can make more of them just simply due to our setup that we're using, which I think is over here somewhere. Down one of these aisles, right? This has just been producing a ton of netherrack, and this has just been producing a ton of obsidian. So between those are basically covered, and we don't really have to worry about them. Now, the dirt, let's go ahead and craft that. Dirt 6 times. So yeah, we have plenty of essence for that. Just look at this, just so much. And as soon as I hit this button, it's just insta crafting. I'm blown away by how fast the quantum crafter can craft this. Now, it's not it's not super duper amazing because there are technically things in here that can instantly convert the blocks. So just keep that in mind. This can be done with like a mega cell. And this is something that I would get into if this crafting wasn't so fast. But yes, we do have the mega bulk storage, and all you have to do is slap a decompression module and a compression card on your bulk storage. And anything you put in here will automatically be converted between its different compression states. So very cool, but does take a little bit of explaining to kind of understand how that works. But let's go ahead and make this. I already have my 256 components, so let's go ahead and use them. There's the infinity dirt cell. My goodness. And let's see, we just need some lava here, and I'll grab a bucket of that. There's the infinity netherrack, the instone. Let's grab that. There's the infinity instone one. Why not also do some sand, right? This, oh, this requires an infinity gravel one. I don't actually know if I have that, but I'm sure we can make it. So now after crafting up, I think just about everything needed for this, basically waiting on the 256. That is the one thing that takes a bit of time to craft. I can now craft a 6 times compressed gravel, and that is the only other thing needed. Gosh, it's just so fast watching this happen. I did go ahead and place in some stone there, and more than enough to complete that 6 times. Let's see, this is going to also require some crushers, and we are going to need this bad boy, so might as well get that crafted. Very easy. And there's our lava buckets. Oh my goodness, this one is kind of ridiculous, making the sand. I mean, this requires so much. The 256Ks are humongous, but there's an infinity gravel cell, like that's just ridiculous in its own right. So perfect. Let's go ahead and now craft the sand one. I don't think I'm going to need gravel. There's everything needed for that. It's already upgraded. So there we go. Sand, and voila, we now have an infinity sand cell, which is going to help with glass production, if need be. So now with all of these cells, I mean, we should probably put them in their own like basic creative cell essentially, or storage drive. But I mean, where am I putting all of my other ones? Let's see. I got to have one of these, right? That has infinity cells in it. Yeah, there's the one with the infinity lava. And then I do have one for, oh, I don't think I ever made the cobblestone one. So yeah, I think this one I was using for power, but you know what? I'm also going to use it for these because this is set to a higher priority. This is now ridiculous. So yeah, any of those other things that I wanted to craft, they now just get instantly crafted. So for example, I need 5 of the 5 times, or I need 18 of the 5 times in stone. So if I want to craft in stone, I should be able to take a look at my 5-time compressed one. And when I do 18 of those, start that craft and watch how fast it's going to be, because it's just it's getting to start right there at that position. So definitely worth doing this, especially if you're making 18 of the stars. This right here is the way to go. Oh my god, it is so fast watching that craft. I mean, seriously, compared to when I played All the Mods 9 and I used refined storage, I thought that was fast. This is way faster. But yeah, just like that, in stone is now checked off the list. Yeah, that's, whew, wow. And same for checking off the dirt. There's our 6 times compressed in the process of being made now too. Now I think we're basically done with our blocks. Like, we have plenty of the emerald blocks. So this right here, we need 18 of the 4 times compressed. Yeah, that's going to be pretty straightforward, considering we can definitely chop all of the 7 times compressed that we have down. and there's more than enough of the 4 times. That's off the list. Diamond, I also think we easily have. Well, easily I was wrong, because looking at my diamond supply here, yeah, I'm missing just a little bit. If I go to make the 18 4 times, I will notice I'm about 9,000 short of blocks. So there's kind of an issue there. But if I use my quantum crafter and also exchange out my seeds, which I have done, which are over here with diamond seeds, then this might not be as much of a problem anymore. So let's take our quantum crafter. Actually, I'm just going to add it to my list up here. And the quantum crafter is kind of ridiculous in what it can do. So let's make a pattern for diamond essence in the conversion of converting it into a diamond. And if I put that pattern in the crafter here, I can turn this on and I can configure a few things. Let's say, let's keep 64 in stock. And that is basically it, right? We shouldn't need to put an input here, confirm the input and enter the key. I feel like that should be more than enough to start converting our essence here. And is it actually running? It should be. Let's actually check this. So notice it's not going super fast right now, but as soon as I click this on, then we'll notice it is going insanely fast. The quantum crafter can craft really, really quick, and we can assign to keep the item that it's crafting with in stock. So I'm thinking that that should work right here. Like keep 64 in stock. For some reason, it doesn't look like it is keeping it here. Oh, maybe hit enter key, 64, enter. Perfect. Okay, so you have to hit enter there. But there it goes. So yeah, we can either keep the top end in stock or the bottom end in stock. This thing is really, really powerful. And I think, can we put acceleration cards in this? Oh my gosh. Yeah, with acceleration cards, it does appear that we no longer have diamond essence. Yeah. It is going way, way faster. Holy smokes. So yeah, that is now producing tons more diamond from our essence, almost instantaneously converting it. And like I said, it's going to keep 64 in stock at all times. So just in case. And so before long, we should have plenty of diamonds that are going to be built up between this running. I also have this running for Certus quartz. We need a ton of Certus essence in order for us to get that 256. But with this, we are basically on track to have all of the major components that take a really long time automated and just casually running, because all of the other processes moving forward really don't take all that much time to make. And we almost have everything done. We just have a few minor things that we need to automate. Like for example, all of these essences, they all are going to require their own station to keep constantly running. And that's basically it. So did you learn something today? Because if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Comment down below what you did potentially learn in today's episode. And if you have any tips for me, because I love learning from you guys. Honestly, there's been so many comments that I have seen that I've been like, oh, I didn't actually know that. I'm going to apply that in my next episode. So be sure to comment down below if you have any suggestions. I absolutely love reading those. I love learning from you as well. And I know this community is super, super huge. Between like new players and definitely veteran players, there's something to be learned from all of you guys. So with that being said, also give this video a huge thumbs up. And it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to none other than Potentially Bro. I love that name. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. Also, be sure to just check out the Discord in general. We have a lovely community over there and I'd love for you to join. It costs absolutely nothing to join that community. And there's so much help over there. There's so many people who are willing to help you get through your modded journey, no matter what mod pack you're playing. So thank you all so very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one, as we're getting very, very close to completing the All the Mod Star, and potentially all of them. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.